everyone, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video. I hope you're doing well today, and so let's take a look at what is going on. First things first, let's talk about an earthquake that happened in Jamaica yesterday. So it was initially estimated to be a magnitude 4.2 quake, but then it was adjusted to a 4.4 and now to a 4.0. So there was an earthquake in St. Elizabeth. That is where the epicenter of the earthquake was, and the epicenter, that is the point just above what is called the focus or hypocenter, where the earthquake actually starts inside Earth. So just above that on Earth's surface is called the epicenter. This is where the quake would have been felt at its strongest. So persons in St. Elizabeth, even parts of St. James, Manchester, other surrounding parishes have likely felt a jolt. You can let me know if you felt anything in the comments down below. But this wasn't a strong shaking, thankfully. And this area isn't so common, for those sizable earthquakes either. So let's take a look at this map here. This is showing the earthquakes between the year 2010 and 2020. We can see the greatest density of those green dots over in the eastern part of the island. So the west isn't usually very, very active, but we do get these shakings there from time to time. So it just serves as a reminder that, the country is seismically active, and we do get these earthquakes every now and again. But the more moderate earthquakes, going up to magnitude 6, and the strong earthquakes are definitely not common, but they do happen eventually. So that is what happened. Again, you can let me know if you felt this shaking in the comments, and it wasn't a decent shaking as well. It wasn't a strong earthquake. But going into the business of what happens above the Earth's surface now. So for the tropics, looking at the satellite imagery of the North Atlantic, we can see all of that activity in the Gulf associated with potential tropical cyclone 1, and there's a new blob developing on the south side of it. Now, PTC1 is forecast to develop into a tropical storm later today, so it still has some time to organize and become a named storm before it actually moves inland. However, all of the rain, the tropical storm force winds associated with it are already moving into parts of southern Texas and northeast Mexico, so we're going to be taking a look at that in a moment. But overall, for Central America, the area remains active, as we can see. A couple of thunderstorms, a few spots of convection elsewhere across the Caribbean. Let's take a closer look here. We can see near Jamaica and in the eastern Caribbean as well. And there is a tropical wave that is located in the region. Now, before we talk more about PTC1, let's go ahead and look at the rainfall forecast for today. So we can see that this map is pretty colorful for some areas. So across the northern Caribbean, parts of Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, there could be some heavy rain and additional thunderstorms as we head through today. And sometimes these very quick downpours, especially in the afternoon hours, can result in some level of inundation. May not be anything too crazy, but there could be some flooding as a result of those heavy downpours today across parts of the northern islands. Over in the east, not going to be as active, but some showers may move by, much not expected for the Cayman Islands. And then northern South America, likely to be active. And there's another tropical wave which is on its way to the Caribbean. Heading further to the west, to Central America will be quite active. Some areas may receive up to 4 inches of rain or so as we head throughout today. And then, of course, the dust is moving in. So we've got that denser plume of dust making its way across the eastern Caribbean, and it is going to be arriving to the northern Caribbean for areas such as Jamaica, as we're going to be heading into Friday, thereabout, tomorrow going into Friday. But then another plume will arrive by Sunday, Saturday going to Sunday. We're going to see some more dust coverage across the northeastern Caribbean islands. So the dust is quite dominant right now, and hence no development in the main development region. So it's really as we head to August and through October when we see the most activity taking place, when we tend to see these tropical waves being very robust, coming off and actually moving right into a conducive environment to develop. So it's when there is the most conducive environmental conditions to allow for them to actually develop, when we tend to see actual disturbances out there in the main development region. But for now, we're not seeing that. We've got 2 other disturbances. That one headed towards the southeastern U.S. states, not moving quickly, but it is still given that chance to get itself together and develop into something. And then we've got that next area highlighted just within the vicinity of potential tropical cyclone 1. So we could see a similar scenario where another airflow pressure forms and thus a significant increase in rain. And I mentioned at the start of the week that we would see this area being very active, and here we are midweek and it is active. So go into potential tropical cyclone 1. So as I said, it is forecast to become a tropical storm later today. And it is a very broad low pressure area, so it needs to be it needs to tighten up a bit for it to really be classified as a tropical storm. So the wind field, though, the extent of tropical storm force winds is very much expansive, so that is already moving into northeast Mexico and southern Texas, and there is still that tropical storm warning in effect. So that, coupled with the heavy rain which is already making its way in, and even the storm surge as well, that coastal inundation because of the winds pushing the water on shore, that is already starting to happen. So tropical storm conditions have begun in some areas. So these conditions will be persistent throughout the day, maybe intensifying for some areas as well. But the center of the system is going to be moving in by early tomorrow morning into parts of Mexico. So again, it is forecast to become a named storm later today. It is already producing tropical storm force winds, but it's not fully defined. It hasn't fully reached the threshold to be considered a tropical storm. But once it does, it will acquire the name Alberto, which is the first name on the list for this hurricane season. And so, guys, I'm here to keep you posted on what is happening, and that is basically it for this update video. I really hope you found it to be very informative. But should you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get to you when I can, and remember to always be weather-wise.